So the next area of the course that I want to focus on is building out the discussion. Creating a really rich discussion area can help to engage students, give a space to ask questions, help manage the class. There are a lot of different purposes and things that you can do with discussions. There's all kinds of research behind it and how to, and I'll let you do that all on your own. There are kind of three main points that I want to bring up with discussions, just some things that you want to really kind of embrace and take a hold of. One is etiquette. Right up front, even in the syllabus, lay out rules for etiquette, how you want students to respond, how you want them to engage with each other, rules for respect, rules for length, for integrity. And so all of those kind of things you want to set up, you want to set those expectations right from the beginning. And then there's kind of two different schools of thought with discussions. They can be general, informative, just chat, general questions, really simple kind of base, surface questions. And those are typically aren't graded. They're just for kind of engaging with each other. The other areas like those deeper course discussions where you really get into the content, where you want students to reflect, use critical thinking skills, and really dive deep. So I've taken a whole set of just different examples of things that you can do for discussions, whether kind of simple things that may be posted in the syllabus, things that involve students to engage with certain pieces of content and then respond to that. So those are just a couple of really basic types of discussions. And I do want to also, I always want to go back and point out ways to do more training, find out more information, and learn more about all the like ins and outs that the system has to offer. And again, Brightspace Training Resources course under instructor resources. And then this one is actually under communication tools and discussions. And it just has a link to the community. And there are learn about discussions, create a basic topic, advanced discussion, how to edit and delete, and how to kind of just moderate those discussions. So those are those training points that are available for discussions that are within the Brightspace community. So you can either, if you're using the template, you can go through and just take that kind of general discussion that has a purpose, an initial and a second initial post where they're, their first response, the response to students. And this is not how you may necessarily format it, but it's just some guided information in just a placeholder for the week one discussion. And so you can edit what the question is. You can just click on that, type it, and that'll edit the question. That won't edit any of the gradebook linking or any of the other options that you have for the discussion. If you click on the discussion though, you'll see that there's all this like activity detail stuff, an assessment, and a lot of that isn't set up. It's just, again, this is just a placeholder spot for the discussion. So what you'll want to do is not only edit the question, so it's an actual question and not just a bunch of like, what is this? You'll want to edit those activity details. You'll want to possibly add dates and restrictions. You may want to allow for anonymous posting. You may want to have to approve a post before it shows to students. You may want to have students start their thread before they can read or reply to other threads. You may want to allow ratings. You may want to add a gradebook item. So you may want to grade this out of 100 points. You may want to just add that this is the week one discussion and add it to the category. What is your maximum? Is this going to have a weight or is this an automatic weighting? Can it exceed the points? Is this a different grade scheme than in something else? Is this bonus? Is this extra credit? Are you going to hide this from users? What's your start and end date? So all of those things can then be added. So that's one way to get into all the activity details for discussion is clicking on it from that page. The other way to get to it is if you go to assessments and click on discussions. There you'll see them all laid out every single week, all the placeholders, and they all say the same exact thing. You can then click on the discussion and same thing. You can edit that. You can edit the settings then. And that'll edit all of those different settings that are there for discussions in general. You can then go to your discussions. You can go here and you can edit the topic. You can manage exemptions. You can hide it from users. You can allow users to view it if it is hidden. You can edit the title of it. All of those are there. When you edit the topic, you'll see that those options that were in the activity feed on the other view are also here. It's just a different view of a lot of the same stuff. So sometimes, mostly with discussions right now, when you click on something, depending on where you click on it, depends on where the information is and how to adjust it. But all the information is all there. It just is how it's arranged. You can assign it to a new forum. You can edit the title, edit the description, give different options, and then the whole rating. Then there are the restrictions. Here's all the restrictions. If there's release conditions, and I haven't covered release conditions because that's a whole other video in training that'll need to be done on release conditions. Release conditions can help you kind of coach a student through content if they need extra help with something. The assessment is all of that grade stuff. Is this a grade thing? Is there a score? Is there a rubric? Are you going to assess individual posts? How do you want to calculate all of that? Then, are there any objectives? If you're using those learning objectives, you can associate those learning objectives. So all of that is there when you go to edit a topic. So I would fully recommend that if you're receiving content from another professor, from another location, the place where you're going to be able to do the most editing and have the most control is by going to assessments and then discussions. And then on any discussion topic, click edit topic. And that'll give you the most options and kind of the best layout and flow for really kind of either connecting that to the grade book and making sure that this is a graded assessment or just editing the question. And this is especially true if there's language that's outdated or if there's links that are outdated, broken links, things that need to be fixed. Other things to do is if you want to add another forum, you accidentally deleted a forum and topics and you want to add a new one, you can add a new forum. You can also add a new topic and then assign that to any of those forums that already exist. If you are doing lessons instead of weeks, or if you're doing units because you're doing 7 units instead of 14 weeks because students are completing a unit over the course of 2 weeks. All of these kind of formats and structures are totally fine, but you may want to adjust the language. So if this says week 1 and you're like, no, that's my unit 1, you can go and in that drop-down menu, hit edit forum, and then you can adjust that to say unit. There are also you can hide entire forums. You can, read the options, hover over the question mark, see a little bit more information. There's a lot of little bits of information. The other thing with forums, if you want to display how long a forum itself is open. So if you have a forum and 3 different topics that students have to respond to, you can set all of that up in the forum settings that those forum dates are there for students and that they can be added to the calendar. And then they can subscribe to a calendar feed and it can show up in their Google Calendar. So it can display on their phones. They can get alerts when things are due or when things are coming up. So adding dates to these different areas can only help students and assist them in making sure that they're as successful as possible in the course. So that's discussions, just kind of the basic bare bones of discussions. And again, further training, the links to that further training is in the Brightspace training resources. But again, that will go to the D2L community. So I just want to say again, if you haven't registered for that D2L community to access all of those different guided trainings, you should do that because it's really great information and probably sometimes easier to follow those directions than watching all of my videos. Definitely more information than my videos. So I just want to give basic information to kind of make it through, but also provide opportunities for you to get further training so that you can learn more about the system and really be able to use it to make students as successful as possible.